Welcome again. My name is Alberto Davalos. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an assistant director of admissions at UC Berkeley, and I'll be leading this PoderOso application workshop today. So if you have any questions throughout the session today, feel free to leave them in the chat, and there'll be plenty of time for you to unmute yourselves if you're joining us live today and ask any questions that you have regarding your specific application, personal insight questions, any questions you have regarding the admissions process. So on the agenda today, we're going to be going over a few things. One, we are happy to announce that we have some one-on-one advising appointments available later this month to answer any of your last-minute UC application questions. So if you're not able to join us today and you're watching this recording, you can still meet with us live later this month, which we'll go over shortly. We're going to be going over the application timeline, some application reminders, some things that we got a lot of questions about. And then we're going to have plenty of time for your questions if you're joining us live today to answer anything related to your specific application. And then if time allows, or maybe the questions slow down a little bit, we do have some personal insight question case studies available. So if you have any, or if you want to know what specifically we're looking for, what's value added, what's neutral value, we'll have some examples of that today. So we're going to jump right in to our one-on-one advising appointments that will be held on November 22nd and November 23rd. So the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, and we'll be available 1:30 to 5 p.m. each of those days to answer any questions you have regarding the application process. So the registration link will go out with this recording to your Puente educators, and you'll be able to sign up and speak with myself, my colleagues Dean and Steve as well, to answer any questions regarding your personal insight questions, the UC application in 15-minute time slots. So we're happy to offer that service for you, and we look forward to meeting with you all on the 22nd and 23rd. And again, the link will be sent with the recording. So now we're going to jump right into the application workshop. So first off, I want to talk about the Berkeley admissions process. It's going to be pretty applicable to all the UC campuses. So one is that we use a holistic review process when reviewing our applications. So that means that we're looking at both academic and non-academic achievements on your application. So we want you to put everything on there, be very thorough, and think of both traditional and non-traditional school activities, leadership opportunities as well, because that will be included in our admissions review process if you put them on the application. So it doesn't, when you're filling out the extracurricular section, for example, it doesn't have to be limited to things taken at your school or activities through your high school. It could be something like a caretaker for your younger siblings, or an elderly relative, or something like that, or maybe you are helping with a family business or something like that. Those are all extracurricular activities and leadership opportunities that we want to know about, because we'll include them in our review when we're reading your application. Berkeley remains test-free for 2022, so if you've not taken the SAT or ACT, that's totally fine and will have no impact on your ultimate admission decision. There's only one UC application for all 9 of our campuses, so you just have to fill it out once by the end of this month, and you can apply to all 9 UCs if you'd like. You don't have to apply to all 9, but you're able to if you'd like. And if you're going to get the fee waiver, which will be calculated right on the UC application, you can apply to up to 4 campuses for free. So if you get the fee waiver, I really encourage you to apply to 4 campuses to just increase your letters of recommendation are not required, so we don't need anything from you other than the UC application at the end of this month. And your personal insight questions are a way for us to get to know you. It's your interview on paper. So if you've not started those yet, I really encourage you to take a look at our TIQ recording that was sent out earlier this month, or later in October, that we held last month, because there's a lot of great tips for each personal insight question that I think would be really valuable for you to think about when you're writing your TIQs. So the admissions timeline is here. It's the same every year. The application actually opened back in August, so it's been open for a couple months now, but you'll actually be able to submit it during the month of November. So October 1st is when the FAFSA and Dream Act applications open. The deadline for FAFSA and Dream Act is in early March, so you want to make sure that you do that as soon as possible, definitely before March 2nd. And then November 1st to the 30th is the UC filing period, so we can actually hit submit and send it off to the University of California. And then you'll have until 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this month on November 30th to submit your UC application. And it is a hard deadline, so we want to make sure you meet that deadline. And again, don't procrastinate, although I know you probably will. because we get about 80% of our applications in those last 2 days. So don't be a part of that 80% if you can help it, but as long as it's before November 30th. And then December to February is when we're reviewing your applications. So it's important to check your email for information during that time, and I'll go over it a little bit more about setting up your email. Then you'll hear back from us, the University of California, in the month of March. Berkeley specifically tends to be the last UC. Typically the last week of March is when you'll find out your admission decision. And then if you've been admitted, you'll have until May 1st to accept your offer at whatever UC campus you're going to. So before you begin the actual application, you want to consider your major and campus options. There's a lot of great options within the University of California in terms of campuses and majors, but we want to make sure that you're making an informed decision when you're applying. So there's over 800 majors offered throughout the UC system, but not all 800 are offered at each UC campus. So you want to make sure that you're applying to campuses that have your Plan A major and Plan B and Plan C, because it's always good to have options available. When you're filling out the application, you want to make sure you have an unofficial copy of your transcripts with you, and you'll copy that exactly what's on your transcript onto the UC application. So whatever it says on your Centennial High School transcript or Hayward High School transcript, that's what we're looking for. So begin writing your draft of your responses to the personal insight questions. We recommend writing them in a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document or something outside of the application, so you can edit them there, and then once you have your final draft, you can just copy paste into the UC application. And then you'll want to create a document as well, outlining all of your activities, awards, work and volunteer experience, just so you have it in one central place when you're filling out the UC application that you can refer back to. So put it all in that one document, and then by the time you submit your application, make sure that you've checked off everything that's on that document. Everything is on at least one part of the UC application. But it's incredibly important that you provide accurate details. The application starts off with you submitting a statement of application integrity, saying, I verify that everything I'm going to report on this application is honest and accurate. That's incredibly important, because unfortunately we do catch people lying every year on the UC application, and if they've been admitted, we will cancel their admission offer. And then a big red flag is put on their file. So even if they apply to another UC campus the next year, they'll be flagged on there. So it's incredibly important to provide accurate details in regards to your academic history, your activities, awards, work experience, and community service. We will randomly select a portion of the applicant pool to provide verification for all of the activities and awards and everything that they've reported on the UC application. You want to make sure that you are only reporting accurate and true information in the extracurricular section, the personal insight question, and then finally you'll have a final verification of applicant information saying, are you sure everything is accurate? All right. So that's important to consider when you're filling out the UC application. So when you're creating the application, you want to make sure you use an email that you're actually going to check throughout the UC application process. So you choose an email that you're checking frequently, and then make sure that you're checking your spam and junk folders at least once a week, because sometimes an application email might get forwarded to your junk folder by mistake. And then your password, keep it secure, of course, upper and lowercase letters in there, a number and a special character. And make sure, it would be a good idea to have a document going with all of your UC usernames and passwords as well, to have it in one central place, because it happens every year where we release admission decisions, and then we get frantic calls to our admissions office saying, I forgot what my password is for my portal. Can you reset it or anything like that? So save yourself some stress ahead of time. Keep them in a secure place in one central document for not only all the UCs you're applying to this year, but all the colleges that you're applying to, because you're going to be creating a lot of passwords, I'm sure, and usernames over the next few months. In regards to citizenship and residency, applicants must select a country of citizenship from the country drop-down menu on the application. If you choose a country other than the United States, you will have follow-up questions for permanent residency and or your visa status. If you are undocumented for a country of citizenship, no selection is a fine selection, and you'll just follow up with the following questions. But you can put no selection, and that's fine. So you don't have to put down your country of origin or anything like that. You can just put no selection if you are undone. And with the social security number, all applicants who have a social security number are required to enter it. If you are a DACA participant and undocumented, enter your valid social security number for work purposes or your ITIN if available. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. That's totally fine. Don't put in 0000000 if you don't have a social security number. Just leave it blank. Then the additional comment section is another great place for you to share your additional context with your application. So we will use this information to better understand your academic context. So maybe if you want to explain your grade trends, maybe you switched all of your grades from last year to pass no pass. Explain why you did that, or why maybe you were going through a tough time in spring 2021, or whatever you'd like to talk about. You can use this area to discuss significant impacts on your educational experience and additional context. And if this is important, if your school changes grading policy during COVID-19, please include that information on the change in this section. That way we have the additional context when we're reading your application. And I keep saying the word context because it is so important, because we know that you're more than just your GPA and your academic transcript. You're so much more than that. And we want to know all that other information that makes you the whole person that you are, that are applying to the University of California, and what you're going to contribute to the university once you arrive. And scholarships is another part of the UC application. All UC campuses offer scholarships for students who meet specific criteria, and it's going to be a section of the application, and you want to make sure you review each scholarship choice and select all those that match your characteristics, your interests, and your background as well. There's a lot of different options. You want to make sure you check all the boxes that apply to you, whether it's your characteristics, interests, and background. For example, when I was applying to the University of California, and when I actually arrived at UC Davis, I got a scholarship for being an animal science major from Sacramento County. So that's how specific scholarships can be. So you want to make sure that you are selecting all of the choices that are applicable to you. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. So let me stop the recording. All right, well, now I will continue with our PIQ case studies. So we have some PIQ samples for you to review, and we're going to determine whether a response is value added or a missed opportunity. And this is how we actually review the applications for admission. There's nothing you can say on there that will be a negative value to your application. Even if you write, I hate UC Berkeley, that's going to be a neutral value for us. If you do, I hope you don't apply, because then why did you waste that? But you can, it's either going to be a missed opportunity or value added. So we're just trying to build you up in our application process. So even if you have a missed opportunity or neutral, it'll be neutral value. It'll just stay where you are. Nothing's going to ever bring you back down. So a missed opportunity, for example, would be an PIQ response that doesn't provide much context about the student's experience. It focuses more on the structure rather than the content, because that's really what we're reading for. We're reading for content. So even then, we're not checking for grammar or your writing style or spelling even. As long as your point's getting across, that's what we're looking for. So don't worry if you accidentally see, after you submitted it, I had a typo in my PIQ response. That's not going to make or break your application. And then another missed opportunity would be where the student centers others' narratives rather than their own when you're filling out the PIQ response. So that's a missed opportunity. You talk about maybe how important what the educator has been to your academic journey. And that's great, but they're not the one applying to the University of California. You are. So you want to really center yourself, use a lot of I, me, and my statements and stuff like that to make sure that your story is getting across. And then a value-added response would be something that focuses on the impact on the student and or your impact on others. You center yourself in the response, and then you provide specific examples as well. So for this first one, I'll give us about 2 minutes for us to read, and then we will go on to, or we'll see if this is either a value added or a missed opportunity. All right, so in the chat, put in whether you think this is value added or missed opportunity. So it can be VA or ML. All right, so we got one for missed opportunity. Anyone else? All right, so this one is a missed opportunity. The student has a good voice, but it just goes over a general overview of many of the students' interests in regards to creativity. There's not enough specific examples in one area. It would have added more value if a student just picked one or two examples to go very in depth in, provide a lot of specific examples and how it's influenced their academic journey, perhaps, or something like that. Maybe why they're driven or to be creative in that avenue. And it doesn't have enough context for where and how the creative side has been expressed. So if you were thinking missed opportunity, that is correct. So again, this is not a negative. It's just going to be neutral value. It doesn't add anything to the application, but it never takes away. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, so for this one, same question: missed opportunity or added value? What are we thinking so far? All right, so with this one would be considered value added. So it provides a very clear picture of the student's environment. It gives us a lot of specific details about their work at the county fair, what their daily responsibilities include, strong examples of those things, and it also shows the student's thought process. And overall, good development as well. So we get a lot of context about what the student's home environment is like and how it's influenced not only their creative pursuits, but also their maturity, and all those things. And they brought it back together. So it provided a lot of context on this student's application. And with this, I would have never known student was from any of or grew up on a farm or anything like that. Most likely just by looking at a student's transcript. So this is going to be a great example of the student really giving us that context that we wouldn't be able to see had they not explained that on the application. All right, moving on to the third case study. All right, what do we think with this one? Would this be added value or would this be a missed opportunity? What are we? All right, so we have one for missed opportunity, one for added value. So this one would be value added, yes. So it explains the student's current circumstances. It gives us specific details about the student's situation, what their home life is like. The student explains the impact it's had on their academics and on their own personal life. And it gives additional insight into how the student thinks and makes decisions. You can see the student's very mature, and we get a lot out of this personal insight question response. So yes, if you said value added, you are correct. Moving on to the fourth one, again, 4 or 5. So a few minutes to read this one. All right, what do we think about this one? Missed opportunity or value added? We have one for value added, one for missed opportunity. So for this one would be a missed opportunity. So the student, it's a general discussion of running itself, doesn't really include specific information, does not explain the student's skill, and does not explain how it changed or impacted the student. So all of this is a great tidbit about their love of running. There was no really specifics or details that we're looking for. So again, we're looking for details and additional context. So if you said missed opportunity, got it. All right, moving on to the final one.
Yeah, Alberto,
Yes,
can we run back to the case study 4?
absolutely.
Yeah. Something I do want to point out is notice there's a lot of information that this student puts that is going to show up in the extracurricular part of the app, right? Some of the awards that they mention, some of the things that they've, the cross-country track. It's not a bad thing to write about, but you want to be mindful that these PIQs are going to be your time to elaborate on what those awards meant to you. How many hours did you spend training and pouring your heart and soul into this sport that sounds like you spend a lot of time and also love doing? This is not, again, a bad topic to choose, but you want to be mindful of how you spend the 350 words to really elaborate on some of the extracurriculars, because the extracurriculars, what that does, and that's read before the PIQs, the extracurriculars, is a means to gauge like where your time has been spent during your high school years. And then if they see something that, oh, wow, this person spent 30 hours a week, with this one particular activity, I hope they talk about it in their PIQ or in additional comments, because it's going to catch the reader's eye. Oh, wow, they spent 40 plus hours. Well, I wonder how that's going to show up in other parts of their app.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for bringing that up, Dean. That's a great point. Where it's not bad for you to talk about something that you've already mentioned in the extracurricular section, but you just want to provide additional detail and explain the bigger impact it has had on you as a person, maybe your choice of academics, all of those things. So thank you so much for adding that. All right, moving on to the final case study. All right, so for this one, the final one, what are we thinking? Added value or value added or missed opportunity? Looks like value added, added value. All right, so for this one, yes, value added. This response includes a lot of specific details on the student's program involvement. It has the student really shows off their strong voice and provides specific examples, a clear discussion of the challenge, clear description of the impact, and then an excellent discussion of the action taken. How did they dealt with the challenge? And then it's another great example of initiative, creative thinking, and persistence. All things that really add a lot of value to the overall application and add a lot of great context. So correct. Thank you for those who said added value. Hit the nail on the head. So with that, that is the last of our case studies. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.